Hello guys, and welcome to this video. And what I have here today is, again, you guessed it, something a little bit different. I have here the FitBit Charge HR, not the Charge HR 2, which is the newer version recently released, but the Charge HR. I bought this about a year ago now. Actually, no, I bought this in early 2015 and used it for about a year until early this year. I can't remember actually, and I can't look up what the MSRP was, but I think it's around 220 Australian. I actually got it for just under 170 Australian on sale, and that's typically what you can get Fitbits for, that much off the recommended retail. So, you know, it comes in a fairly basic cardboard box with a display. I'm not going to go through that. You know, plenty of details around that in the internet that you can look up. But, you know, it's a elastic polymer with, or they call it elastomer, covering most of the Fitbit with a plastic display that you can see there, and that's in the OLED display. It's rated rain and splash proof, and not rated to be swimming. Not for swimming, not for showering, but you know, honestly, I've taken this into the shower plenty of times. People have done immersion tests. I've accidentally taken it into the pool when looking after my kids, and that hasn't been a problem. It obviously still works. The battery is rated at 5 days, but you know, in reality, I found that it worked at most 4 days before it really needed a charge. And in many cases, I actually ended up charging it every 3 days. Now it says that it has a 7-day memory for the activity tracking. I've never tested beyond that, but presumably if you wear it for more than 7 days without syncing, you will start losing the data from 7 days ago as it writes over. As you can see, they added the wrist gesture functionality, you know, moving your wrist to the, bringing it up to your face position will turn on the time. And I think that's been quite a useful thing. The button cycles through, you know, various things: steps, heartbeat, distance covered, calories. You can customize how many of this it displays, and which it displays. Now, the sensors. There is obviously at the back you can see there the lights. That is an get that into focus. That is an optical heart rate monitor. You know, resting on the skin of your wrist and detecting the pulsations in the capillaries is how it works. There is an accelerometer and an altimeter, and I think the combination of that gives you also a vibration sensing function. And then obviously it's got a Bluetooth sync capability to what is really quite a nice app, a phone app, which couples through the internet with web-based application, which you know, I'll swap over now to the computer, and we'll take you through it to discuss how the sensors actually works. All right, guys. So here we are at my Fitbit dashboard, and you can see here they've made a very nice front end. You know, the web-based app really presents things very well. Now, let me just go back to a time where I actually did do some logging, because I haven't done this for a while. So 23rd of September, and let me log that, and you can see, you know, straight away it comes up with, you know, a weekly view, or you can even, you know, break it down to a day. Very nice front end. So how does this all work? The activity tracker claims to track steps, levels of or floors that you can climb, calories, distance that you walk. All that you have to keep in mind is based on derivations of the measurements of the sensors, the accelerometer, the altimeter. That distance, 6.2 km, very little data on the accuracy of the distance. Probably tends to overestimate if you walk slowly and underestimate if you walk fast, unless you have a tracker with a GPS, for example, the FitBit Surge. How does it count steps? Well, with the accelerometer mainly. Now that probably has the best data in being accurate. There's good data that if you wear the tracker on your hip, it's very, very close to 100% accurate. Wrist trackers tend to overestimate a bit. So, if it tells you you've done 20,000 steps, take it with a grain of salt. It's probably a little bit less than that. There's this data that suggests that calories, now where's my calories now? Here. Probably tend to be somewhat underestimated. They can only base it on the movement and the heart rate. Now that's not everything. So the data that it works on is limited, and the evidence suggests that probably trackers tend to underestimate actual calorimetric data. Heart rate. Now heart rate. Let me go to the exercise. So here we have an exercise pane. Here I'll go to a sports session. And you can see it gives a very nice heart rate trace here with the peaks. Heart rate, it has been shown probably to be quite accurate, particularly at rest if it's in good contact with your wrist. And we saw the heart rate sensors at the back of the Fitbit there. When you're moving fast, when you're actively performing sports, particularly if you're moving your arms around, the accuracy drops. Now, you can see that there's some peaks that comes through here. 160 is not bad. 156. This is not too bad, but my heart rate probably goes a bit beyond that and probably maintains a higher heart rate than what this trace suggests. So, when the contact's not good, it's not going to be the most accurate. And, I'll just scroll through the rest of the exercise pane here. Now, Sleep's what I guess is part of my area of expertise, and I can say that sleep is has some limited functionality here. I think as far as the studies go, it probably suggests that activity trackers are quite good at measuring how much you actually are asleep for. But in terms of how restless your sleep is, the quality of the actual sleep, and then any potential sleep pathology like sleep apnea and movements, forget about it. There's no good accuracy on that. I think sleep is complex. It's divided into various stages, and the way we stage sleep is based on brain wave patterns, eye movements, and muscle movements. The activity trackers can't track any of that, so they can only ever take a guess at your sleep. The Charge HR only tries to measure how long you sleep, and these little red bars show periods of restlessness. Take that with a grain of salt. But the sleep time, in bed for 7 hours 53 here, actual sleep 7 hours 44, probably reasonably accurate as far as the studies show. There are some trackers who purport to tell you, when you're in deep sleep or light sleep. Those ones, questionable accuracy. The correlates seem to be around the 30-50% correlation, and all this are done in various studies that have been done in recent years. I'll put links to some of the more interesting ones below if you're interested in looking at more of the details. Alright, so there we have it. I'll go back to the dashboard just to show you how quite nicely it displays the information. Alright, so there we have it for the app. Let's take it back to the review desk. Okay, welcome back. So in summary, good data on activity trackers for steps, really quite accurate in counting steps. More limited data on distance accuracy. I think without a GPS, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It can over or underestimate. And, calories tend to be underestimated. With regards to sleep functionality, I think, again, probably quite reliable in estimating the actual sleep time, but, don't rely on this to tell you your stages of sleep, how restful you sleep, what quality of sleep you have, or forget about things like sleep pathology, that this may or may not help you detect. What's good about this, I think it does a lot in a tiny package that is not very expensive. Really, there's really only 3 key sensors, and Fitbit have managed to present and derive good information in a very digestible way out of it. It's very light, it's very comfortable, and the styling is quite acceptable. I'll just put it on the wrist there. So, the material, this elastomer that they use is, I've worn it days and days on end, really, apart from the 1 or 2 hours it needs to charge. And it never irritates me. I mean, people have gotten rashes, but I haven't found it a problem. I think, it sits comfortably. It's not recognizable as a watch, really, but people start to recognize it as a Fitbit. The only gripe I have with the styling is that, there's almost always these gaps left here. No matter whose wrist I see this on, I think it's part of the design, how that heart rate monitor is meant to sit against the skin. But there you have it. And it's got a great connected app and web-based application, that we've just seen. What's bad about it? I think the need to charge really starts wearing me down, really, every 3 or 4 days. And syncing, I don't like keeping the Bluetooth on my phone on. If you keep yours on, well, you don't have to bother thinking about turning it on, but it does take time to sync it and turn it on each time for me. And if you forget to do it a couple of days, it takes an even longer time, and that became a chore. And apart from that, I think the main reason why I eventually stopped using it is because with activity trackers, I think if your lifestyle is stable, if you have an exercise routine, a fairly stable job, work-life routine, you kind of get the idea after a couple of months. You're going to get regular feedback of how many steps you do, days you exercise, how much more calories you burn. And that's what I found. It just became the same after a while. You just know what's going to happen. I think if you're going to change your lifestyle, if you are trying to change habits, your life is in a state of flux, you're moving or whatever, then this can be helpful in helping you get a feel of what changes are happening. But if you're going to be in a stable situation, you get the idea after a month or 2. So there you have it. That's my take on the FitBit Charge HR and some comments about activity trackers in general. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy these reviews and topical videos and like to see more. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.